Guthrie may have been committed by the Satg criminal enterprise. So here first is my conversation with Tom McAfee. Tom, talk to me a little bit about Satg and what their MO really is.
Sure. This Satg, or South American Theft Group, is a loosely organized crime group that originates out of places like Colombia, Chile, Peru, Ecuador, Venezuela. These are typically non-U.S. citizens that come here on either through a visa waiver program or tourist visa. They overstay, sometimes just illegal immigrants. And basically what they do is they get into various jobs, typically manual labor, but they end up doing surveillance on residences that are in typically very nice developments. And they target primarily Indian, Asian families, where they'll do extensive surveillance of a residence. And then when they go to break in, they typically go in when no one's home. They use technical devices to defeat security systems.
Jammers?
And they target those places specifically because those families are known to carry and maintain large amounts of cash, jewelry, precious metals in their home.
But you were mentioning they thwart security systems, like with jammers?
Yes, these jammers, again, very sophisticated techniques where they do surveillance and counter surveillance within neighborhoods. Typically look at some of these houses that are maybe abutting a golf course, so they'll use some of the public fairways or thoroughfares behind the golf course to go set up surveillance on the backside of a house.
And I know you can't address the Nancy Guthrie issue at all, but I've been curious about something I've seen in his pocket, which to me looks like an iPhone sticking out, or maybe a walkie-talkie, and I keep wondering if it's maybe one of these jammers, but I've never seen them. But you said something very interesting. You said that they often take jobs, like as manual labor, maybe landscapers. I'm just wondering if that could have been something that applies to the current case that I'm looking at, because that's an easy way to surveil somebody working on the property.
Yeah, I have no indication or information about that. But again, typically they might work in a neighborhood capacity, yard, landscape, things like that.
But jobs that someone who isn't legal could actually do, because obviously they're here on expired tourist visas or some other kind of visa that they've overstayed.
It's under the table type stuff.
Yeah. Well, that makes a little bit more sense, though. But I also noticed in our earlier discussions that you mentioned many of them are really highly trained, like paramilitary or even maybe former police.
Yeah, that doesn't go across the board, but there are instances of many having paramilitary or law enforcement backgrounds that come up here and conduct the activities.
Yeah. And again, I know you can't comment on that, but when I think of that, I think that doesn't